Hey guys, how we doing? Yard sailing only went out a little bit this past weekend, and I did grab one thing, and I guess that'll be the focus of this video, and it is this Coleman, a Homelight rather, generator. Looks like it's running a Briggs 8-horse. I want to say it's a flathead motor on it, and it doesn't look like it has very many hours on it, or at least it hasn't been abused very much. But it had a problem the last time it was used. When it was brand new, they went and they brought it home, fired it up. It made no power output, so it went to like a qualified repair facility, and they ended up, I guess, replacing the generator head. It was no good. Well, fast forward, they went to go use it, a couple of times in between then, and they had a problem again where it wasn't putting any power out, and they ended up having a bad plug, so they put like just a household plug in it, and I guess it came back from that point. And the last time they went to go use it, I guess they were using one of these guys on here, and again it had no power out. So at that point they went and bought a new generator, and this generator sat in the corner for I think he said about 8 years or so, and we just never used it. Well, the house is getting cleaned out, they're moving, there's a new generator in a shed outside that has taken place of this. So I was pretty much going to pass on it once I heard the story of no power and the plug being thrown in there and that kind of thing. So he came back and says, "Make me any offer." And I said, "You're probably not going to like what I'm going to offer you." He goes, "Anything over $5, it's yours." So I owned it for $5. A friend of mine threw it in the truck for me. My back's a little tight. That's kind of what's going on. And I came home and slid it off the ramps onto the floor, and here it sits. So I do figure it is going to have bad fuel and whatnot for the motor. And I also look at it as if it does not come back as a generator. I don't think there's any fuel in it, which is a good sign. If it does not come back as a generator, that Briggs 8-horse is probably more than worth $5 as long as it's not a tapered shaft of sorts. So I say we clear the bench off, and I will slide that over there. We'll get it up in the air, and we'll start doing some assessment on it. So give me a second, and I'll get that taken care of. So that's up on the bench, and I'm just trying to give it a quick look over. And first thing I see is a bag of hardware sitting on top of the spark plug hole, so meaning that something was taken apart. And I see screws missing from the tin here. That one's loose. Whole pull start's kind of hanging off of it. This right here, this wire runs down, and that is a low oil shutoff, so that the thing doesn't stay running with no oil in it and kills itself. So that is for I believe that will just drop spark out and allow it to shut off. So what I was told and what the issues are with it may not be one and the same. I do see a wire hanging down here. That should be a kill that goes up to the throttle-y kind of control, or the on-off switch here, more than likely. So having said that, and having the fact that it looks like somebody took the pull start apart, I have a feeling it has no spark, and I would rather be dealing with something that doesn't have spark instead of something that's not generating power. But again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's start. Let's see if we can get an oil cap off of it. See if anything's in it. That's full of oil. It's over full of oil. You guys can get a rag, clean that up for me. There's a rag behind me. My bench never rusts. Alright, we'll worry about that in a little bit later. Let me that loose? No, it's not loose. All right, let me go grab the plug. We'll take the plug out of it, and we'll go and just see if it has spark. We'll just start right from there. All right, so I got the plug out of there, and full start's loose, but it's good enough to kind of go spin it over. Let's see what we get. Just as I figured, we're not seeing any spark, and you know, in a way, I prefer to see that. So that could be the reason why it's, you know, it got put away. So I don't think there's much holding this pull start on here. Yeah. So that would be one to ground out, some wire off of there, and it should be attached to a tab on it somewhere, right down there. So the wire's taken off the tab of the coil. It's a little light handy. No, I don't. Don't see anything else on that. So that would basically tend to indicate that maybe that coil went bad. And I do seem to remember seeing myself have one of those in my stash, that style coil, so that's a good thing. So I just want to check the air gap, kind of looking right here. A couple guys commented on sanding off the rust and spark will come back. I think that is urban legend. You can thumbs down me for that or not, but I do not believe that has anything ever to do with a magneto that does not have spark. It either has it or it doesn't have it. The rust on here, or the rust on here, really does not affect that. So, having said that, let's go and I'm gonna go see if I have another coil, and we'll just go try that right off the bat. The only other thing too is sometimes it looks for a generally that's always an open circuit. If you pull that wire off the back, you should have spark. If you ground that out, then that makes that spark go to you know what I'm trying to say. When it's open, you have spark. Ground it out, kills the spark. I am going to put a jumper on that to ground just in case, just to make sure that it's not the opposite direction. You're not going to hurt anything by doing that, but just double check before I pull it off. I'm going to just go run a jumper on that. So if you guys remember, about a week or two ago, we were dealing with that Craftsman with the V-twin on it, and I was looking for a coil, and I was in the back 40 shed back there, and I ended up finding one for that. And I actually found two coils in a box, and again, my memory served me correctly, was another coil, and I do believe that is the same as that. Now whether this coil is any good or not sometimes can be a question too, but here's where that wire goes. As I break off the end of it, I will do that when I have two hands. But anyway, so that's the wire that you would ground out to kill spark on the machine. I have seen it very rarely when it is the other way around, where you have to ground that end of it for it to generate power, but 99.9% of the time I see that it is the other way around, where the case is that remains open. But I did put a jumper across that. I spun it by hand. I did not see any spark, but I did not spin it very fast. Is that not loose? Nah, I just looked it. Okay. So let's go unscrew that one. We're gonna go put this one in its place, and we'll give it a spin, and we'll see if spark comes back. So I went to go bolt that coil up. This is the new old one. This is the original one, and I thought they were the same, but there is a difference between them. The curve of the bottom down here and the curve on the bottom of this one, you can see this is much greater, meaning it was on a smaller circumference flywheel, and this one being, you know, larger. So I have a feeling that you know, this being an 8 horse, a 5 horse might be maybe an inch smaller in radius. And what happens is when you go to bolt that on there, see how it doesn't quite match that radius. So I went looking, and I have a couple of other motors. I don't want to start tearing all those motors apart to see if by chance I do have the same one, and kind of killing those motors. But I don't have a problem with is taking a sander, and we can knock some of the fins down here and here, and see if we can get this guy to bolt up, and see if that will come back to life. So that's what I'm going to go try doing. I'm going to go take it on the belt sander and just try to change that angle a little bit so it's a little bit more straight across, and see if we can get this attached and see if we can get spark. And worst case scenario, if that brings us back to life and this whole machine is working just fine, I have no problem again going on eBay or whatnot and finding myself a replacement coil for, you know, if the only thing it needs is 20 bucks to fix it, so be it, right? But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's see if we can get it sparked and continue on. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up going and taking it on a flapper disc and stuck on a device and just kind of rounded off that corner, And there's an air gap in there. I used a piece of cardboard, and you just kind of lay it up in there and roll it underneath, pull the mag down so it touches it, and then snug it down. Gives you that little bit of an air gap in between. Is it a perfect fit? No, but again, we're just trying to see what we got. So I got a drill set up now so I can spin it. I think we're going the right way. We want to go clockwise. Clockwise. All right, let's see. So we got spark. That's a good thing. I'll take care of that part of it. So what I'm going to go do is there's a wind deflector that has to get bolted on. It just goes right like that, and it just allows the air to flow around the engine in a certain direction. So that's going to go back on. We'll put the kill wire back on, and there's a ground. This right here has to go on the other end as a ground lug for the kill switch. So let me get all that put back together. We'll get the pull start put back on it, and from that point we'll probably dribble a little bit of fuel down it, and we'll see if a fire is up and dies. There goes one of my neighbors. It's Ray. I say Ray is in his 90s, and I think he dropped his electric chainsaw. I just couldn't get the blade back together, so now he's got that hooked back up. So don't hurt yourself. But it's kind of sometimes what keeps you going. Anyway, so back on this guy is the wind deflector is now back on there, and the ground wire is back on. So I'm going to button up the pull start. We'll get that put back together, and we still make sure we have spark after I reconnect the kill wire that has to go on the back there.
Hold on to my little louder.
Well, I think we're to that part of the program. You know, that part of the program. We dump a little down it and see if it will run and die. The only wire I did not hook back up was the low oil pressure switch wire. But I spun it and we still had spark to cover on it. So let's there you go. That's just a happy sound right there. There we are. So I think we're past the point of what it died for. So I am going to go still and pop the cover off. We'll pop the bottom of the carburetor off, just because I see this guy is floating from the back of the cover. So that means somebody was in there. So I want to make sure everything's okay and that the float is clean. And if it is, we'll dump some fuel in it and see if we can get it to sustain running. And if it sustains running, you can go plug it in and see if it makes power and see if we get the full Monty, so to speak. Yeah, pop that air cleaner off. The only thing that was holding it was one nut. The fuel pump is hanging. So they were definitely in here. Whether they were just in there to get to the coil, I don't know. But this is where we always find the magic, seems to be. The telltale story of how well the machine is. Sometimes you can tell by how bad the screw comes out. The gasket just broke in half. not bad. Not bad at all. I don't know. That is a good sign. I gotta look at my stat for one of those. So that's the little grommet on the bottom of the screw. It's gonna leak at the float bowl. So I'm gonna go screw the fuel pump back on, and probably what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dump a little bit of fuel in it before I put the float bowl back on, just so it kind of pushes whatever's in the fuel line out and I don't capture it in the carb. So let me go do that. I'm gonna go do some reattaching and get us some gas. You can shut off anytime you like now. So I put some gas in it and left everything open the way it was. I'm just gonna go and take my air gun, and see if I can go through the little vent hole on the top of the cap. If not, I'm gonna capture on the cap. Just see if I can push it, the fuel through, just to purge out any crap that's in that fuel line before I put the bowl open. There you go. See how that's tinkling. I'll have to just let that run for a second, then I'll crack the cap. That's also kind of good for priming the system too. That should be good. All right. Gonna turn it off. So it'll shut off on the bottom of the tank. See what we got. Not too bad. A little yellow. That's new gas. My battery decided to shut off. Anyway, that was what I was doing was purging the fuel system, pushing some air in the tank and let it push through the fuel pump and everything. And it looks pretty clean. A little on the yellow side, a little bit of dirt down on the bottom, but not bad. Just so that doesn't get pushed into the float bowl. So I'm going to just go and clean this up a little bit. And again, I got to go find a new seal for the bottom of the bowl nut, and we'll put that back together, and we'll see if we can get it to run and stay running now. Well, now we get to go tell. I turned the fuel back on. Got the air cleaner off. I might have to run that choke by hand. Let's see what we get. Well, we're not getting the light not lighting up. I just had it plugged in so I know the light is in the working and on position. But a couple things I noticed, it sounds like the RPMs of it is very low. Thing I noticed, it's got a idle control circuit, and that usually is a solenoid on the back side of it that would allow the throttle to throttle up and throttle down, and that may be what this wire used to go to. There used to be something here. I see another terminal right here that's disconnected. So I don't see anything. So that may have been something that was removed or played with or screwed with. I'm not sure. See if the governor does everything. The governor seems like it does what it's supposed to. That's why I revved it up and I tried to see if the light would come on once I raise those RPMs up, but I did not notice anything. So So far we got a good motor for $5, but I'd like to take it the next step further. The other thing I noticed too is on this plug, and yeah, you got to test and a reset. Usually push it in and then it re-clicks. I'm not getting any of that. So I think our next step is probably to open that panel up and we take a look inside there and see if we have, probably put a meter or something on it, see if we have any power kind of coming out of the generator head itself. Looking at how that comes apart. Not sure. Maybe these screws are going across the bottom and across the top and the whole face of it comes away. In any event, I'll turn you back on once I figure that out and we'll see what we got. To crack that open and took a visual on. I didn't see anything that kind of stood out telling me there was an issue. So basically I believe we have 3 circuits coming out of here. I believe we're going to have a ground, and 2 hots, a hot lead red and the hot lead black. I do not see any voltage on any of those, putting a meter across, so that leads me to believe that we are having a problem either inside here. We're going to go pop the cover off next, the end of it, and go take a look at the brushes and all and see if there's anything, any deal kind of going on with the armature and or the control board, which I believe sends back a signal to tell it what to do as far as power outage. And it does have a an idle kick down. Here's the 2 legs for the idle kick down, and the there is a solenoid hidden back by the carburetor back there, but that does not seem to work whether you switch it on or off. Over here, it didn't seem to make much of a difference, but there's no power going to anything. Of course, none of this is really going to operate correctly anyway. So I think our next best bet would be to pop this cover off, and we'll take a peek inside there and see if we can see if there's any issues with the brushes themselves. And we're in a little further. I don't see anything that's, again, jumping right out at me other than the slip rings are you know, pretty carboned up and dark, but I won't really think that's the issue. I ohmed out from the slip ring to the stud going in, and again on the other side, and they seem to be okay. The brushes look like they are in decent shape, and then I also ohmed the brush to the pickup of it, and that seemed to be okay also. This excites the field. This isn't what's making the power. The power is being generated by the outside, not the inside. But this has to get excited for this. Oh, brother. I'm gonna butcher this. You gotta have some energy go into the slip rings, start power moving. Once it's moving, and then it kind of self-generates its own power, and that in turn makes a magnetic switch that turns on and off, which in turn makes the energy on the outside windings turn on and off, and those outside windings are the big wires that you see going to your power source on the outside. You can see where they're kind of tapped in down there. So I'm probably going to clean that up, put them back together, and see if we get anything, and then probably the next step is we're going to have to ohm out the windings and see if we lost the windings in here. Now there's 2 circuits, I should say in here, there's 2 circuits that are in here, and I kind of doubt both of them would have burned out. I'm kind of thinking more than likely it'll probably be the control board that is no good, and I don't know if I want to go through the trouble of trying to find one of those and put that in there and have that be or not be the deciding factor whether this is good or not. So anyway, we're gonna have ourselves, I got to take some tie wraps or whatnot. Sometimes on these, what they have is a little pin you can push in. You can push the brushes in, and they have like a little retainer somewhere on the holder that can keep it in the in position, and once you get the cover installed, they pop back out. But I gotta look at that a little closer. Anyway, well, enough babbling. Let's see if we get these slip rings cleaned up and get the cover back on and see if it does any improvement. So that was called flashing it. That was trying to flash and put a little bit of a power back into it to excite the field to get it to go, and that did not work. It is not going to cooperate. So unfortunately, I believe more than likely that circuit board is no good. But I think that's where I'm going to stop on this one for now, because I will not want to spend any more money on it. But we'll see. So I just took my time to took some time. I unplugged the main plug that goes down and gives you your neutral, your ground, and your two hot leads, and I am getting nothing across any of them as far as resistance, and I should get something across them. So I believe, unfortunately, what happened was they blew out one circuit, and then they went around and were running everything on the other circuit, and they probably blew that leg of it out too, because he did say something about it worked in one plug and it didn't work in the other plug. And then they lost it in that plug. So you're looking at it, you can see that this one's all red, this one's all black, and two different circuits. So more than likely that's what happened, is they went and they killed that, and then for the plug that puts out 220, it's got a red and a black, and of course neither one of them are doing anything, so that one's going to be dead altogether. So again, it was $5. It's a $5 lottery ticket, and you know, just the bits and pieces alone. If I use the air filter on something else, it's already worth $5. But I do believe it has a good motor. It seems to be okay, and we could probably separate that part of it from it, and have a nice 8 horsepower go-kart / mini bike style motor. Generally, they have a bit of a tapered shaft to them. We'll find out when we go to take it apart, and that can be a little bit harder to use just because the end of the shaft looks like that instead of like that. So sometimes what I did before was I took the part of the generator head that went into it and I cut it off, and I kept that part of it, ran the bolt back in, and used that as a hub, and I think it was like 7/8 or something like that, so I could always attach a sprocket or something to that hub that stays behind. But we're getting ahead of ourselves because that's not happening right now. So now it should be the end of this video. Again, thanks everybody for watching, commenting, subscribing, and again, some of you win, some you lose. They're not all winners, as people seem to think I get, but you know, don't know till you try. Hey guys, I did a little bit of homework on the generator last night online, just to educate myself a little, and basically it was getting into checking voltages that are coming out of the motor. I wanted to see if it actually had resistance values, but I couldn't find anything on that. Anyway, so they were getting into voltages, and one of the tests that they had was to excite the field windings. You take the two slip ring brushes, which is going to be the red and the black. These go right to the slip ring windings. If you put 12 volts to that, the circuit should come alive and put out about 50-60 volts, somewhere in that range. And under normal circumstances, the control board will put out about 24 volts to that. But if you put 12 volts to it, it should generate some power coming back. So I figured for a test, what I'll go do is I'll take my jumper pack. You see I got leads and stuff kind of set up to it, and the hot's already set up to the hot, ground's not. We'll fire it up. There's a light right here that is in the on position, and what I'll do is I'll put some energy to that, and that bulb should light up halfway. If that bulb lights up halfway, and also if I take the plug from the red circuit and then put it on the one that's running the black circuit, which is going to be this guy, and that will tell me that both of those are still good inside the motor and still working. If I don't get anything from that, then more than likely my issues are an open on the inside. So having said that, we'll move right along to putting power to that. Also, a kind of indication that, you know, something's wrong also is the idle control circuit, which with no load on it, drops down to an idle, wasn't working, and that also would get either 12 or 24 volts to that solenoid down there to turn that throttle on and off, and that's not working. So let's go see what we get. We'll prop you up. Bear with me. And, let's go get this thing fired. And can you see the light? Can you see the light? that's a no. We didn't get anything coming out of it. I also swapped plugs in the middle of that to see if anything would happen. But I figured I'd give it one last attempt on the troubleshooting part of that. Not that it would end up being a worthwhile fix anyway, because I priced this board, and this board is $120. And again, this generator being a like a 4400, probably its value is probably $200. So again, it was worth a try. It was $5. I still have a good engine out of the deal, so I will probably strip that engine off of there and put it in my little Ford. I'll put a little tag on it, and we'll keep that for a mini bike. Go-kart, mini bike, something kind of build in the future. Here's another one too. This is that pressure washer that was in the free pile. I've already removed that from its situation, and I think I have a tag on it saying that the carburetor's junk. Runs bad carb. So that'll go into the Ford the same way. Alright guys, thanks. Later.